Welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
the other Cam, aka Cam Bigelow, in the flesh,
as well as
Big Brother Josh.
And at the end, always keeping this honest,
Professor.
And we're back, kind of doing a little roundtable of random things that we've been seeing news-wise in the entertainment industry and that kind of stuff. But before we start, I was going to say, like, subscribe, tell a friend. I did it early this time, guys. I'm trying to remember.
Did it early, look, growing.
Yes.
Like, subscribe, sign up for the Discord. We're around. We're doing our thing. But yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff going on entertainment-wise, and the one we wanted to touch on that only me and Josh care about is the release of Tron Ares, which just came out this weekend, and it's already basically everyone's calling it a failure, a flop. You know, it's Jared Leto, so everyone just automatically wants to say it's bad. It might be bad. I don't know. But for me, like, I've actually been about Tron since back in the 80s when I was a young kid, I watched it. I was super into it. When the new one came out, 20 years later, I think it was, that I was all about that. That was really dope. And then I even watched the CG animated one, which is actually pretty good as well. So my interest in this is still there because I'm a Tron fan. Whether it's good or not, we'll find out. I'm not going to try to convince people to go watch it, but me and Josh are going to try to check it out. And then we'll come back with our own little review about it. But Josh, you've seen all of them, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
And
wow.
I have a question.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm really kidding. I'm playing.
And Josh, this is to you because you've seen all of them.
Mm-hmm.
What is Tron about?
It's about. Well, it starts out being about a video game, a kid who finds an arcade game, a stand-up arcade game, and gets pulled into the world within that arcade game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so insanity ensues from there. And then the follow-up, the middle chapter that came out probably, 10 years ago, I want to say at this point?
Yeah, I think it's 10 now. Sheesh.
Wow, jeez.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, the middle chapter basically is a follow-up on that. That kid is now an adult, and he's been trying to get back to that world ever since, and finally finds a way to jack back in, and finds not only the person who created the Tron universe or sub-universe, whatever you want to call it, but also finds a whole thriving community. Like the world has continued since that world, I should say, has continued since the original film. I'm not sure. Well, I have an idea of what the new one's about. But I want to, before I speak on it, I want to see it so I can speak with a little bit more fluency.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where at the time, I think, it was a Disney movie back in the day, kind of a big deal. They put a bunch of money into it. It looked gorgeous. It flopped in the box office because, things flop. And then kind of gained a cult following after. And it was around computer programming, and each of the characters in each person that you saw was basically a program. And the human person was basically the user, which is the godlike being, if you want to put it that way. And so in the original, it was around this main character called Tron, and then another character called Sam Flynn. And then in the second one, that the kid goes back in, basically trying to connect with his dad and kind of seeing this whole new world. So world building and how it was actually pretty cool on the sci-fi, and it was actually interesting. Then you go for the visuals and that kind of thing.
And the visuals were groundbreaking for the time in the 80s.
Well, I know it also sounds like it inspired a lot of things that we would later see, The Matrix, Ready Player
One. A lot of cyberpunky type stuff. Yeah. There's a little bit of tinge of those now. Yeah, and the second one, the soundtrack for the second one was awesome. That was another thing that was all the audios and that kind of thing was really, really good. But yeah, it's one of those. It's a weird, interesting little cult following type of thing that they did that. I think they got right, but from a marketing standpoint and everything else, I just never really hit to a point of being successful in that respect. And so, like I said,
I was going to say, isn't Kurt Russell is in this? Isn't he in all of them?
Not Kurt Russell.
Or
why am I?
Jeff Bridges.
Why am I blanking? Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges was in the very first one, and he came in. He reprised his role in the second. And he was actually, it's funny because he actually is in the CG version as well, and he reprised his role in the third.
Yeah, he's in this one too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, so it was one of those things that's just kind of random.
Without having seen it, what do you think tanked this one? Is it just Jared Leto's unmarketable at this point, or?
Nah, I honestly
tanked it.
I don't think it's that. I think it's the same thing that it's always been, which is Tron is a relic of the past, and people who are currently going to see the movie buying audience is not interested in Tron. I mean, I was surprised that the second one made money 10 years ago.
It was good.
Well, I mean, this one could be good as well, but that one also made money, so it wasn't a flop. This one here is returning to the way things was when the first one was released, which were it flopped, and it became
and also
later.
Yeah, and I think also too, it just basically goes back to reflecting on what we've been talking about for Hollywood, right? Like this is $180 million budget of a movie, right? So it's 180, but that's 180, on paper, not counting advertising and all that kind of stuff. So your box office weekend kind of says, okay, is it worth it? Whatever. It made 100 million, which is sad in this day that you make 100 million over a box office weekend and you're a flop. But
that's a failure.
But when you're spending at 180 million, it's again going back to the overblown budgets that these that Disney has, WB and all them, just throwing so much money at these films and then not making the return that they want, as opposed to what a lot of the other creators have been saying, like, yo, stop making these $200 million monstrosities. Just make smaller films that are better. They're actually good stories, good acting, good writing, and all that good stuff. So it just almost gives a question.
Oh, don't schedule it.
If you made a Tron movie with a smaller budget, would it work? Because it's the underpinning is the visuals, and I don't think you can make those visuals for less money.
No, that's a good point.
I think the problem is, in this, you can probably see this where they've changed. It's gotten worse, which is these films don't have scripts ready before they're going into production, and Disney has been the notorious offenders of this. We see it all the time, like every MCU film, probably since
Endgame.
No, Endgame didn't have a script either. It just happened to work out better than it just happened to work out the way it did. But maybe Endgame probably had more of a closer finished script and that would probably be it. Probably Spider-Man is another example, and then Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But James Gunn was talking about how even then there was pressure for them to get right into production, even if the script was in its earliest of stages. So, I'm saying that this is what's going on with Tron. I don't know what really tanked Tron, except for Tron is not something that I feel like is relevant to right now. And there was 10 years between this one and the last one. And Jared Leto maybe is not the type of star that can generate box office revenue. I mean, in his past films, has he been a lead man in that way, in which he's gotten a lot of, or has he been a part of projects that have made lots of money? I think first we see Morbius, it tanks. And then now we see this and it tanks. And I just don't think that there's
this apparently had a lower opening weekend than Morbius, which is just like, what do you do with that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe it is him, or maybe it's just.
That's what I was asking myself. Is it Jared Leto or a combination of who asked for Tron? Because
it's probably a combination.
I think it's a combination.
Who's asking for Tron in 2025? Like we had how many renditions, Josh?
But this is the third one. Well, fourth if you count the anime.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, also too
Disney's hubris.
Well, yeah, I will also say
you think so? Because I mean, the last one says that there might still be a market for it because it was profitable. A, it was profitable. B, it was a good movie. That soundtrack was absolutely phenomenal. I own the soundtrack. That soundtrack was phenomenal. The score and soundtrack were both phenomenal. It was. I thought the second one was a very good movie. And I was looking forward to this until, now I'm kind of skeptical, but I still want to see it for myself because I think there's this trend of dumping on people, like the Jared Leto's of the world, like, if he's in it, it's probably not going to be whatever. You don't know until you see it. And, I think we all here are of the ilk that when a movie is not well reviewed, we still trust our own instincts more often than not, and we'll buck against the trend of, everybody says it's a good movie. Everybody says a lot of stuff. Everybody says a lot of stuff, and it's not always accurate.
The last time I checked and what I read, that this isn't getting negative reviews. That it's more about just that the audience didn't turn up the show to watch it.
Yeah,
what I read, it said it's getting mostly positive reviews. Yeah. And so that just says that between maybe something within the marketing or perhaps again, just the overall interest in the brand or the name that is Tron, because I guarantee if you ask anyone younger than 25, probably even 30, they don't know what Tron is. So
yeah,
it's that thing. I agree with you, Josh, that the last film would appear to have had momentum, but then that was 10 plus years ago.
And I would say also it's like, it's again, what we call flops is always interesting to me more because of the budget, less about what the actual thing is. Like when it opened, it was the number one movie for the weekend, made like 33 million, but off of a budget of, like you said, 180 million. How is that going to work? And then like, even though this past weekend right now, in the top 10 films, number 11 is Demon Slayer, which has been around for a minute. Cam watched it. He can tell you how good it is. I've heard it multiple times. It's just amazing. But the other films that came out during this past weekend, Black Phone 2, Tron is number 2, Good Fortune, that the comedy with the season sorry, a bunch of random people. One Battle After Another with Leo, which I kept hearing is actually pretty good. Roof Man, which is with Channing Tatum, about the dude that robbed a McDonald's and then held up in a Walmart or some randomness like that. So there's even this weekend's movies. I'm like, what is going on here? There's a bunch of random.
Maybe it was just a bad release window.
Well, one Battle After Another is making a lot of money, and what I see is a trend that people are leaning towards giving things that seem original more of a chance. And whether or not they're good or not, that becomes more of the old school cinematic experience, right? So you have one battle after another, lots of great reviews, box office is ticking up. It's making the amount of money that is kind of a pleasant surprise for it because they probably didn't spend that much to begin with. A film like Weapons.
130 actually 130.
Oh, that one spent 130 mil. Oh,
which I'm like, man, that must have been on the cast. But Weapons is a great example. Weapons is an excellent example.
Yeah, I think I don't know how much Darren Aronofsky spent for Caught Stealing, but that's another one that got a lot of interest or whatever. Point being, I think these bigger brands have an issue now with turning out the audience because I think it's not about superhero fatigue. It's not about not even the nostalgia fatigue. I think it's just weighing having to spend $20 per ticket on a film that could be between middle of the road and really bad,
or 36 if it's IMAX now.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Yeah, and also I was going to say, like Weapons is a good example. So Weapons made about 267 mil off of like a 38 million budget. And that's just wild as itself. But again, you're 100% correct. I think it's more about, it's more about the original ideas on a smaller budget and then taking those chances, because that's what we've been seeing a little bit more, as opposed to, like you said, huge investments into these big ass vehicles and then not, because people aren't going to the movies like that. That's the other aspect of it too.
I know I'm not spending 36. I mean, it's got to be like, so I would go see Tron in IMAX because the visuals, I think, speak to, I wouldn't say demand it, but I have a feeling that the visuals will pay off the $36 that you spend to go see it in IMAX. I hope I'm not wrong, because I don't have $36 to throw out like that. But there are other movies that have been in IMAX. I'm just like, I'm not paying $36 to it. There's no reason. There's just no reason.
Yo, the One Battle After Another, that's another IMAX movie.
If that was filmed in 70 millimeter, yes, I would go see it. I would go see that in IMAX.
So I was going to ask Cam for Demon Slayer. Like, you're a fan. You've been watching this whole time. Movie drops. It's doing numbers. Is it worth the hype that everyone's talking about?
Yeah. If you follow anime or you're remotely interested in anything like that, this was definitely worth the money to go see it in the theater.
Big screen.
Big screen. I've never been accustomed to watching anime in a theater until that became it's probably been a thing, but I just caught wind of it a couple of years ago, and I was like, I'm gonna just wait. I don't want to go pay to see an anime that I can eventually see. However, this seems to be like the new way that they're releasing certain arcs and stuff like that, big arcs. And when I went to go see it, it was everything that I imagined. If you're a fan of this particular anime and manga, but at the same time, too, you're pretty much getting like 5 episodes because it's like 2 hours long. So I highly recommend don't go late at night to watch this, but you're getting it. The only downside to this, because animation takes extremely long time to create and put out, I'll be 50 when this arc ends, based on the time. No, I'm serious. I'll be like 49, 50.
I mean, if Dragon Ball Z is any indicator with the or Naruto.
Well, I'm just saying with the animation, we caught wind of Dragon Ball when they had a lot of material. So by the time we caught up, it was done, right? Demon Slayer, the manga.
I caught up. I was on Dragon Ball getting bootleg VHS joints from my video game store.
So Demon Slayer, the manga is finished. If you just want to read it and get to the end, it's there. It just takes long to create. So that's the only downside about waiting for such a project. But again, that just shows you how popular Japanese animation or animation in general is taking over. And you got with the recent success of K-pop Demon Hunters taking over on Netflix, and a certain company dropped the ball on that, didn't realize this is a big deal. People do watch cartoons. For me, watching anime as a grown man is like watching Korean dramas.
Yeah, and it's not and there's a distinct difference between cartoons versus anime. Anime is fair more often than not. It's just someone drew it is the difference.
Well, there was also a difference in mode. Cartoons were designed initially to be sort of lewd and crude things that were aired in between, like almost like trailers or previews between movies. And so that's why a lot of those early ones, Woody the Woodpecker, Bugs Bunny, like why you go back and look at their earliest, they're terrible for a lot of reasons. But cartoons and anime, two different things.
Yeah, and like, so even for us, like when I went to school for animation illustration, that was the thing we had to learn, right? We would watch a lot of the different things, and then we would break down how these things are created. And like Demon Slayer is interesting because they chose to take the final season of it and then release it as movies over a period of time. That's what Cam was saying. It'll be 50 by the time it's like done. And as opposed to what they normally do is like they'll do a whole chance of a season, drop it, and they'll wait for whatever. And I think like it's funny because I put them almost in 3 different categories. Like you have like the Disney style where like everything is super expressive, and like that's the two old men. They're the ones that they're basically the founders of a lot of American type of style animation. And then you have anime where it's like when they were creating that, a lot of that stuff was meant to be the way they drew everything was meant so they could have speed. So that's why certain corners were cut and that kind of a thing. But then by doing that, it became a style, which is kind of crazy. But what was also good about anime too is they were allowed to tell more adult narratives. So they could be super silly and be slapsticky, or it could actually be like a super hardcore drama about death and depression and this and that and that. So these themes, and I think that with that wide berth, it's actually cool that right now it's been embraced on a wide scale for all kids, especially in the Black community too. It's actually really cool to see. As a young Black kid, you can be into anime. You're not getting made fun of. You're actually supported. Like there's other Black kids that watch it too, which is cool. And I think for all of us that had to struggle back in the day, solo.
Bruh, no, I'm not gonna lie, man. A lot of folks watch anime and they just didn't want to say it because they were afraid of what was going to be. But when you find out, like, take me for instance. I have braids. I'm athletic. When you walk up to me in person, your first instinct is this dude does not watch anime. But I watch anime. It's become the norm. Same for me. Ever since I'm gonna say like Michael B. Jordan popularized. Oh, I watch anime. I'm a hot looking guy. So I was like, oh, anime guys are cool now. We've been out here. We've been out there.
Yeah.
You know? So it's just funny to see this come full circle now.
I latched onto anime. I want to say, I know exactly when. I was an intern at a studio in 1993. And part of my job was to entertain talent. And so me and this very old, this older vocalist, she was like, what y'all got? What do you, I don't play video games. I see a rack of movies. What's good? And I just popped in the first thing that my hand landed on. And it happened to be Akira. And we were transfixed. We were just like eyes wide open, like, yo, this story kind of doesn't make sense, but is kind of wild at the same time.
So, Cam has the manga, I think you still have it, of Akira.
Yep.
And I watched it and I was like mind blown. But then when I went to go read it, I was pissed at the movie because they left so much out. I was like, this movie it's dope for what it was and when it came out.
For what it is.
But I was really mad that they left a lot of things out.
Yeah.
That this whole manga not trilogy, it was like 5 or 6 books had just put and just blew my mind. But for the people who animated, they did a superb job for that time to put that from book to screen. It was amazing.
Yeah, and that's one of the ones, like, I remember actually reading the manga for Akira. It's one of my stand on my soapbox and yell about it because like the actual manga is really good narrative literature. Like the way the whole story fits, the world building, all that kind of stuff. It's one of those ones where I actually be like, no, go read the book. Like you'll understand it. Where when people talk about Akira, they always talk about the visuals. They always talk about the impact it had on them. If you ask them what it's about, they're like, But that's actually another book that got me. And Cam's favorite was Lone Wolf and Cub. Like I knew it was good, but I didn't know how good until actually sitting down and reading the original manga and then going through. Like it's a page turner, man. Like it's really, really good. And then I started to see all the connections of everyone that either borrowed pieces from it, wholesale stole, remade it. But it's just again, it's one of those things where like, yo, this is really good. And it goes back to the, what D talks about. People don't read no more. But I'm like, yo, if you did go read like a comic book or a manga or something, like just if you got to if that's where your starting point is, cool. But read. Because you're missing out on a bunch of just really good narrative fiction that really hits you. And like Lone Wolf and Cub is definitely one of those. Akira manga is definitely another one of those. I actually need to go read I'm reading Dan to Dan right now on manga style. But yeah, anime got me into a lot of manga stuff where I started to see the differences and like that kind of stuff. And then same with anime where it's like I've been watching anime since, I don't know, like 85, maybe 86 from Robotech, something like that. And so, but it is cool to see a lot of the kids now getting into anime, learning new things and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes they get a little too uppity about their anime knowledge, and all the OG people just kind of be quiet, be like, "Oh, that's cool, man, awesome! You just watched that for the first time. That's so great. I am encouraging you."
I mean, it's from what I understand. Shout out to Eric. Anime NYC is like they got the kids. The kids,
yeah, it's been bigger and bigger.
So much so that they moved it from whenever it used to be to it used to be right after Comic-Con in October. They moved it to August so that it could catch more kids before the school year started. So there's no reason for them or less of a reason for them to not come, which I thought was a no-brainer considering the age range of kids that come, because it's a bunch of kids who cosplay, people who cosplay, and they cosplay as their favorite anime more often than not. And there's a DJ that plays all anime soundtracks and theme songs, and they all sing along, and lots of vendors and what have you that sell Funko Pops and a lot of anime themed merchandise and what have you. I'm sure it's going to be it's getting bigger every year, but I'm sure it's going to be enormous. Give it like 5 years. It's probably going to
be definitely
like a mini New York Comic-Con.
Yeah. And I think those types of things, like Cam was saying too, about like K-dramas and people getting into because the kids are super into K-pop, they're super into Bollywood type stuff. So K-pop Demon Hunters came with the right section of just anime plus K-pop, put that together, catchy songs, a decent narrative that's fun, and it's it's easy, right? It's super simple, it's entertaining, kids like it, adults that have to watch it with their kids are like, oh, say that bad. And by the end, my brother, he watched it with his daughter, she's 13. And I was asking her, I was like, oh, how did you like K-pop Demon Hunters? She's like, oh, it was really good. My dad liked it, but he says he doesn't. And then my brother's in the background, he's like, it was whack. And then later on, he's like, my little small pop. Dun, 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 dun. And I was like, are you really singing that song? He's like, it's infectious, man. I can't get it out of my head. I'm like, that's a good pop song. What are you gonna do about it? But yeah, I appreciate that. I see that more, like I said, more Black kids are getting into anime, open and enjoying it, embracing it, learning new things. And then also starting to spike.
We crawl and run.
100%. 100%. The other thing we talked about recently too was, our man George, he out here, he is free of his Star Wars life and kind of just doing his own thing. He was like, I sold the company for $4 billion. I can kind of do whatever I want these days. But one cool thing though that George Lucas is doing is him and his wife are actually making a museum around narrative, actually, and story, which I thought was really, really cool. And it's one of those things where I was like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but he's basically, him and his wife are basically combining. And they're both very, very rich people. But I think if you're going to retire, quote unquote, and do something else, do something new, I think this is a nice, worthwhile thing to kind of give back and kind of sink your teeth in. Cause he's kind of let go of Star Wars at this point now. He still popped around in the beginning of Mando and stuff like that. But now he's kind of whatever, you guys got this.
Which is ironic because they're basically using his initial pitch. One of the things that he pitched when he sold to Disney, but he was still on as a consultant, was the Darth Maul Shadow Lord idea.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep, that's pretty much his idea. And so now, of course, all this time later, of course, they're like, hey, why don't we use one of George's ideas? When initially they told him, nah, get out of here.
I don't even think I even seen they have a trailer for that already?
Nah.
Oh, but to say, I know it's coming out soon, but yeah, I mean,
it's him and it's Darth Maul and with an apprentice, Darth Talon, which people have been begging for 20 years now. So I'm curious to see where that lands and how it lands.
Darth Talon was associated with Maul before?
I don't remember. I want to say no, but I can't say that with authority.
I didn't think so. But I mean, it doesn't matter anyway. Disney's been doing their own thing with their own continuity anyway. So
yeah,
it really doesn't matter. No. I do like the idea of this visual, this museum that they created. I also don't think it's a coincidence that if you show the image again, can bring it up one more time. It looks almost like a starship from from
From
how,
Star Wars.
yeah, it looks almost like Padme's ship, right? Is it Padme's?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Like it
That does
almost
look
looks
like
like her ship. And so I like that that's kind of, I don't think that's an accident. They definitely did that on purpose. But just the idea of something dedicated to visual stories and the influences of society, because it's these kind of repositories that will matter if, for whatever reason, civilization collapses and things like that. You have these kinds of things left over that shows a little bit of what was, or what any kind of repository in this of that nature is a good idea, even if it is a little bit to even if it is kind of a monument to certain individuals' vanity. But I don't think that that's the case here, because unless they're like putting their faces everywhere, but otherwise it's just it stands on the ground that it's trying to build on, which is, this is something for artists.
Well, and it's good that he's funding it himself, or that him and his wife are funding it themselves, as opposed to public grants, because museums is under fire. Not to stray too far.
Lots of money, so and they are at that age where they're like, they got so much money, they won't see the day when it's like not close, when it's lower than what it is now. Like they won't live that long to get to that point. So they're like, we can give this, we can do this, we can create museums and stuff like that with our money, and why not? If you have that much money and you're secured, your heirs are secured, and whatever, why not do something meaningful with your wealth that you can't carry with you into the next stage of your existence?
Not for nothing, George Lucas don't sit still. He's always got something brewing. He's always got some project he's working on. Even if it's not something that we see come to light, there's always news of George Lucas is reportedly working on, and then, we may see it, we may not see it, but he's always got something brewing. So this is not surprising.
Wait, what is he doing right now?
Pretty much this. This is like his main thing right now. Is the Lucas Museum of Narrative Art. Like that's like his main thing. But
yeah, I think he's done with.
I mean,
I don't think we're gonna get.
He's
not gonna get a red tail.
He didn't do a lot of films when he was active, so he was more interested in the technical aspect of pushing the envelope on the technical side when it comes to cinema than he was with the storytelling. I mean, you can see, even though he has a keen sense of what makes a good story, and that's just from simply having read Joseph Campbell. Any writer who's read Joseph Campbell, whether they are good at the details or the minutia or the micro of telling that macro story, as long as they understand that monomyth, typically their stories are fine. The original Star Wars saga is fine, and I'm including the prequel. I'm including the prequel films as well, not the new stuff, but
the most recent
episodes 1 through all the way to Return of the Jedi.
Do you not like Rey?
All of those are a solid kind of narrative. So
do you not like Rey? I mean, Rey's fine.
And
no, I don't. I don't dislike Rey. I wish she was written differently, or somebody else was writing.
And just to make sure that folks understand.
Before you go on, Cam, I actually read somewhere that Lucas actually did not just read the book, but he studied under Joseph Campbell, and Joseph Campbell considers him his best student. Yeah, there was a lot of writers who, because Joseph Campbell was also a professor, a teacher. So there were a lot of writers and people who sought him out when he was alive, whom we know, and who went on to be great storytellers, whether that be using film or print or whatever.
He was the person that, and again, it's not like he created the monomyth. He was just one of the first to identify this reoccurring pattern from all the way back to the Bible with human literature.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was going to say for folks that might not know who he was, like he's the person that coined the phrase monomyth and the hero's journey, and then used the examples through history to say all these different stories use the same base template of how this to tell a story. And I think that nowadays and folks that are starting to make stories and that kind of stuff, some kids, I shouldn't say kids, but some folks don't know who that is or don't even know where that came from, even though that's the spot where a lot of these creators from the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, that was literally their main like thing that they started with before they went into everything else. And so
there it is. I keep it right. I keep it near and dear. Yep. That's the title.
Hold on. Hold it up again, but from the side to show them how thick that book is. There you go.
You telling me I gotta read?
Yeah. But the title is The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. And it's known as The Hero's Journey or the Monomyth. But yeah, this is basically became the guiding North Star for most writers. But it was always there. So it's not, again, it's careful to give him to say that he created the ideas and no.
But he distilled it.
Exactly. He created a singular place where they could be understood. It's like, a lot of the concepts in cinema were known or labeled that way years after those things had developed, because then someone had time to reflect and be like, oh, this is what it is, here's the pattern, this is how we humans cognitively think about it. So yeah, but George Lucas has always followed this with Star Wars, and that's why and Frank Herbert followed that. Frank Herbert's Dune is the classic example of the heroes of the monomyth and the hero's journey.
Yeah, definitely. Now, before I wrap, I was going to throw it to everybody else. What do you guys give me one thing you're watching and give me one thing you're reading currently, and then and that's how we'll end it. And I'll go first. I'm watching Invasion season 3 on Apple TV, Apple Plus, whatever it is, Apple TV, Apple Plus, Apple TV, whatever.
Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, Apple TV Plus. That's what it is. But yeah, I'm watching that. That's actually been super entertaining, surprisingly. I kind of got into it with my girlfriend. We started watching it. It's almost like it's your baseline aliens come to the world and change everything type of a thing. But so far it's been like pretty interesting and like entertaining to the fact where I'm like, oh, this has actually been like really, really fun. And then reading wise, I'm still in the middle of the Expanse guys' new book.
Oh, The Mercy of the Gods.
Mercy of the Gods, yes. So I'm like,
and book 2 is coming in April. I have it pre-ordered.
Yeah. So, and then that's been really interesting too, because I haven't read The Expanse. So this is my first, I've watched The Expanse, one of my favorites, but this is the first time I'm reading their writing. So that's been like really, really cool. My dad actually just recently finished The Expanse, and he is a lifelong sci-fi fan. He's the one that got me into it. He was like, this is probably top 3 sci-fi I've ever watched in my entire life. I was like, whoa. Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the top, and I would say in modern fiction. It's more. I'm talking about the books. He's probably absolutely right about the television show. But as far as the books goes, it's in competition with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And it's got a lot of. It's hard to rank the books in terms of like weighing them against like Larry Niven and Asimov and like some of the Heinlein and like, because all of those are sort of the influences that we find in the Expanse series. And I guess as I'm talking, I'll say I'm actually got to play a game with myself, because now I can't figure out what to read. Like I got all these options, and it's like a kid in a candy store. So I've been bouncing around. Yesterday, and I had to stop myself. I started to reread Fire and Blood, which I was like, don't do this. You've done it. Do it after you reread the main series, which is what I'm getting ready to do. But now I'm rereading the main series for different reasons, looking at the symbolism and all that kind of stuff that the structure of his writing. And then I'm also reading Myths and Legends, which is a really good book. And the one that I'm getting ready to start as far as fiction is either Mercy of the Gods or Elric of Melniboné, which is a fantasy story. So that's the stuff that I'm reading. I'm probably gonna flip a coin or let my cat choose. But anyway, as far as watching, it's October, so I'm watching a lot of crappy horror movies. I love
spooky season.
Yeah. So yesterday I watched Tales from the Crypt Demon Night, which just had me dying laughing. CCH Pounder, young CCH Pounder, Jada Pinkett, William Sadler's in that. Like, it's like a lot of Billy Zane is the villain. He's the main demon. It's like it's a terrible mid 90s cheesy Tales from the Crypt movie. As far as shows though, Gen V. I'm watching that. Right, getting ready to wrap it up this week. I think is the finale. It still consistently is better than The Boys in terms of the writing of the writing is a little bit two-dimensional. It's so easy to figure stuff out what's about to happen. But yeah, it's still better than The Boys. So yeah, Gen V is a pretty good one. That's what I'm watching right now.
Cam?
What I'm watching, me playing Twitch, my video game that I'm currently locked into, not Ghost of Yotai. But what I'm watching.
How is it?
I'm losing sleep, so that's how it is.
Dude, my man's like 48 hours into the game. So it's been out since a week now, week and a half.
Don't tell me that. See, that's not good. That means my future is gonna be sleepless,
bruh. I'm telling you. I'm just watching various anime, nothing in particular, just trying to catch up. The book I'm reading is, make sure I say the title right, is The One of You Reckonings with the Pop Culture That Shapes Me by Aisha Harris, which is a recommended book from one of our hosts, D'Angelo. So I'm in the midst of that. And once we finish that, we may have something down the pipeline for the show for the future. So
yeah, definitely. Josh?
Right now, what I'm reading is a book called The Code of the Extraordinary Mind. What am I watching? Oh, right. Yes. What I'm watching is something that Cam, Dwayne, and Pope all recommended to me.
Slow Horses.
5 whole years ago that I'm just now jumping on in Slow Horses. And apparently it's gotten so good. I was going to go to a panel to cover it for NYCC. Stay tuned for Blerdlines coverage of New York Comic Con. Bang, bang, bang. You like that segue? That was a dope segue. I've learned from Cam. So much so that I was going to go to the panel to cover it for part of our NYCC coverage. And the homie Eric, God bless him, put his hand on my shoulder. Was like, don't do that. You just started watching. You just finished season 1. Yeah, don't do that.
Shout out to Mormon, man. He's always the one that tap you on the shoulder.
Look it out.
Don't do that. Do it this way.
Yes, I am your conscience.
Exactly.
For real. Yeah, because I was like hightailing the whole time. I was just like zipping all over the place. So I looked at the schedule and was like, "Oh, Slow Horses is coming up. All right, let's go." And so I started hightailing. He caught up to me and tapped me on the shoulder. And was like, "What season are you on again?" I was like, "Oh, I just finished season 1." He was like, "Don't do it to yourself." don't.
Yeah, he's the reason I got back into Fear the Walking Dead. He did the same kind of reverse to me. He's like, "Yeah, keep watching. Keep watching after, give it a chance, give it another chance." And I came back to it, didn't regret it until they switched up the writers or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But big shout out to Eric Mormon, Eric the editor.
Yes, big friend of the pod.
Day
Did
one.
I answer everything? What I'm reading, what I'm watching. Was there something else?
Nope, I think that's it.
Okay.
And the last thing I'll say, since it is October and it is the month of watching horror films and all that, I will be remiss if I don't talk about the patron saints of the pod, our man Roger from Night of the Demons, one of the first Black guys to survive a horror film. All I remember is I was on Table of Truth and they were talking about this film, and I was like, "What are you guys talking about?" And they're like, "You don't know who Roger is?" I was like, "No, I don't know who Roger is." And so Roger's character from Night of the Demons from 1988. Yep. And if you watch it, I recommend everyone watch this film as a Black person because it's one of the first true depictions of a Black person in a horror film that just doesn't do stupid shit. Every time a white person does something stupid, he's like, "Nope," and he goes the opposite way.
So does he live through the movie?
Yes,
he does. He does.
Yeah, so Roger broke the mold because they ain't wrote a character like him since.
100%. Wait, LL Cool J, Deep Blue Sea.
All right.
So
does that even equate? It doesn't even sound like it equates.
So I'm gonna ruin that a little bit. So Roger is definitely the first adult to survive and not do anything stupid. But in 1985, Friday the 13th Part 5, which is hilarious that Friday the 13th
Part 5
had 5 movies in less than 3 years. The first Friday the 13th I think was like 1980.
Wow.
One or something like that.
Somewhere thereabout.
So by 1985, there had been 5 Friday the 13th movies. But anyway, I brought it up. They were. I mean, they were terrible. They were getting terrible reviews, but they were just like schlocky, whatever.
And they had a huge, and I can attest to this, having been alive at that point, and watching those movies, they had a huge afterlife in home video.
Oh yes.
They would never do well in the theater after the first.
And in syndication on TV, running on TV. Those movies were always on.
They made a killing off of syndication and home media.
So Shavar Ross, who most of you probably recognize from shows like Different Strokes. He was in Family Matters, but he played Reggie the Reckless. In Friday the 13th Part 5. And Reggie the Reckless survived. And Reggie the Reckless, he was moving and he was not standing still so that the Jason, because that film was the second movie where Jason isn't the killer. There's a copycat killer. Right.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah, so he survives that killer. But yeah, Night of the Demon is about 3 years later, but kind of the same. It's funny because they have there's a parallel there between Reggie the Reckless and Roger. Obviously both got our names, but they both kind of have that moment where they see the monster and they just take off. They don't ask no questions. Yep. They don't try to figure out. They just keep running forward, and typically they dip off on some white woman who's like still trying to figure out what's going on.
And he's also, if Shavar Ross was a reoccurring character on Family Matters, Weasel, which is
Weasel. Yes, that's who it was. Yes, he was. Yes,
holy crap!
That was Eddie's one of Eddie's friends, right?
Homies,
him. Yeah,
he was a cockroach. He was a cockroach of Family Matters. Like cockroach was on.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
I forgot about cockroach.
All that as a
Cole from Martin.
Cole, yes, he grew up to be Cole.
Yep. But yeah, so all that's to say, random tangent, but patron saint. It's Halloween, and there are Black characters in horror films that survive, and smartly.
Oh man, we're gonna have to do a whole a whole pod on the Black characters that have survived before 2005, because after 2005 it just became a thing. Now you couldn't kill too many of us without it being a whole thing. So now there's like at least one Black dude and one Black woman that survives every movie.
Except for Walking Dead, like my man too. Justice for all the Black
TV
people
was different. Rest in peace, DJ.
TV took a little while to catch up.
Rest in peace, T-Dog. Couldn't have more than one Black person alive at the same time.
Ah, damn it.
That was always the case on The Walking Dead. You could not have more than one top Black character going.
Exactly.
Shout out to Sanaa Lathan, who survived the Predator movie.
Oh yeah, that's also too. All right,
that wasn't really horror though.
Top five Black people that survive in horror movies. We'll come back with that one. That's gonna be a good one. But
it's only 5.
It's probably only 5.
It's probably like only 5.
Pod over.
That's gonna be a 10-minute pod.
And that's if we include Sanaa Lathan, and that one isn't even really a horror, but we may as well because it's monsters.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll research and we'll come back with it. Top five Black people that survive in horror movies. Look for it. It's gonna happen. I'm on it now. We doing it. But yeah, as always, thanks for listening.
And we don't do it now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Keep us accountable. But as always, this is Blerdlines. Thanks for rocking with us, and we are out.
Peace.